New York City right now is going through with a very controversial plan of handing out prepaid debit cards to migrants. It's a very controversial program because they say that they're going to be saving money, but I don't know. You're literally handing out free money. What about the average Americans? They're not getting anything. And now there's a big talk about fairness. Americans are getting mad. And of course, New York City is just simply going broke. Check this out. New York City starts handing out these prepaid debit cards, but they are mighty expensive. Guys, it's going to start with 450 people and up to almost $20,000 a year by the end of the week. Now, here's the thing. If it's just 20,000 or 18,000, 16,000, whatever it is, and that's it, well, maybe New York City is doing okay in terms of budgeting. But when you're talking about they get $18,000 and then they get 3 free meals a day, they get education covered, healthcare covered, and also the migrant shelters are covered. Guys, that doesn't mean New York City is saving any money. Many people feel like New York City is just spending lavishly on the migrant crisis. I mean, they've already spent $5.7 billion on no bid contracts a couple months ago. And basically, taxpayers are the ones being fleeced. And 450 people are set to begin receiving this amazing prepaid paycheck. And migrant families will be receiving this card with a week's worth of funds. And it will go up depending on how many family members you have. Mayor Eric Adams has defended the $53 million scheme amid a fierce backlash. And many critics, not just governors and politicians, just average citizens, are not happy about this at all. And now we have people saying that thousands of American citizens are homeless in New York City. We literally have a bunch of domestic homeless people hooked on drugs, there's addiction. There's also a lot of homeless vets in New York City. But do they get this prepaid debit card to spend? Absolutely not. It's just the migrants. In fact, many people are now kind of mad. They're all saying the same thing. The talk of fairness, right? And this is the expense of the taxpayers. New York City taxpayers, small business owners, and even big hedge funds are going to be the ones footing this bill. What about New York City's rampant shoplifting? They never addressed that. The subway tunnels are so dangerous they gotta send in National Guard soldiers to hold down the fort. This is the new New York City. It's just getting worse and worse by the day. Mann also speaks out about the migrants. It's wanting to help people, but not at the expense of people who pay taxes. New York City's life quality is diminishing. They're taking away from services that taxpayers pay for. They're getting taxed 3 times. This is crazy. You can watch several of these interviews on X, and they're all very interesting just to see the perspective of everyday New Yorkers. And let me tell you guys, there isn't a single New Yorker that is in favor of many of these laws. People are still wondering why in the world did New York City even decide to play such a big sanctuary card hand. I mean, if New York City took in maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 migrants, it would have been okay. But they've taken at total, about 200,000 migrants. And now they're actually going broke. And a lot of these American citizens are kind of done. They're like, it's never the citizens first. It seems like it's always the citizens last. And then lastly, you got the whole entire business fraud case with Trump. I know this doesn't have much to do with the prepaid debit cards, but let me tell you guys, where do the prepaid debit cards for migrants and this money come from? It comes from the taxpayers and the big corporations. And guess what's going on? The whole Trump trial is freaking all the big investors out. The New York City business fraud case against Trump is garbage, but more alarmingly, is anyone with business interests in New York City now knows that you could be targeted if you have the wrong political beliefs. Trump is basically the only president in our lives who's lost money being a president. And many people feel like New York City has lost its way. If everything's being driven by political bias, people and many investors are very, very scared. It got so bad, even the New York governor, she had to come out and say, hey guys, this is just a Trump thing. You guys are okay. But I highly doubt this will soothe the nerves of everyday retail investors and institutional investors. So now you have the business sector kind of in tatters, and there's a lot of sense of mistrust. Small business owners are leaving, and the population drops almost 600,000 and could drop a total of 700,000 by the end of 2024. And what's going to happen in New York City? I guess they're still going to be spending billions of dollars on the migrant crisis every single day. People right now are sick and tired of the migrant crisis. They don't want to do this anymore. Mayor Eric Adams is trying to reverse New York City back to its original state, but it's very difficult. Let's see what New York could do. Right now, they're kind of in their very few last options. They're kind of done. New York City right now seems to be collapsing hard.